Julie came up with the idea. She said, you know, I think you should do a Blue Ridge Ranger album again. It's a project that, and a concept that's really dear to my heart. Now that it's done, I'm just really delighted with it. Just for purely selfish reasons, it was a lot of fun and really enjoyable to hear that great music being kind of thrown into the middle of the room by all these players. Most of the basic tracks were recorded at the Village in Santa Monica. One track was recorded, about basic track, was recorded at Bob Clearmountain's place called Berkeley Street Studios. A record is a presentation in the same way that a movie is a presentation. I have pretty strong feelings about this. When Will I Be Loved? It's one of those where were you when kind of songs to me. I remember the first time I heard it, riding in a car with my brother Tom. The Everly Brothers came on the radio and we just looked at each other. I mean, it was so freaking good. So we really shared a moment over the song. So Julie had an idea. She said, you know, that'd be really great if you sang that with somebody else, like your friend Bruce Springsteen.
I've been made blue. I've been lied to. When will I be loved? Fogerty making me work. Damn.
That's right, yeah.
Making me hit them high notes.
In the end, you're just singing rock and roll, and you know, that's kind of what happened. She said, well, you know that song by Ricky Nelson called Garden Party? And I said, wow, you know, I love that song. I mean, that song has just always really meant a lot to me, and you know, Ricky's one of my favorite recording artists. I mean, I just think his music's great, his records are great. And she says, well, yeah, and it'd be cool if you got the Eagles to sing with you. You know? So we got a hold of Don and Timothy, and you know, when I was actually talking with Don, I had to kind of come from zero because he didn't know why. He actually was calling me back at that point. I was in the studio, and I said, "Oh well, you know, I'm working on this a new album called the Blue Ridge Rangers," and Don says, "Oh yeah, I have the old one." So that made it a little easier. I didn't have to like explain everything, you know. And I said, well, I'm doing that same concept. There's a lot of great old country songs, you know, kind of rootsy songs that I'd like to do. I said, well, you know, we're pretty far along on getting things done here, but my wife suggested there's a song that would be really cool if I put it on this album. I said, you know the old record Garden Party by Rick Nelson? And first words Don Henley says is, oh, I love that record. So while I'm talking with Don Henley about Garden Party, it was important to him. He said, you know, that song is really a statement. And I said right back to him, I said, yeah, I'd rather drive a truck. That was a meeting place for he and I'm sure a lot of other musicians or artists who feel strongly about the creative process, and that you're digging in your gut and trying to get something to happen rather than just turning into some sort of oldies act or nostalgia act, or in a lot of endeavors here in the world, you know, where they call it you're phoning it in or you're mailing it in, where you're just going through the motions. And I know I sure don't feel that way about music, and it was clear that Don doesn't feel that way about music either. I love doing material, either exactly this material or, you know, there's a lot of other great songs like Rolling in My Sweet Baby's Arms, certainly Blue Ridge Mountain Blues that I've been doing for a long time. It really is who I am. I mean, I get a kick out of it. You could almost make a movie. The musical characters have already existed. Happily, when we were in the studio playing this music, like with Buddy Miller, Greg Leitz, and Jason Mowry, who played fiddle, dobro, mandolin, these were guys who in a heartbeat understood that musical characterization, because there was a common 40, 50, 60-year experience that we're all referring to. That presentation, what you might say, that musical character is kind of an alter ego of mine. So I immediately could tell when something was right or something was not right, if it fit or didn't fit. I come from a musician's point of view. To me, all of these songs would be fun to get up and play in front of people as a group of songs, or any portion thereof. And I hear that all through the record. Back Home Again, I thought was actually the coolest of all of them, maybe. I was scared of it. I just, you know, John Denver's record is wonderful. And John had that beautiful, angelic voice. I thought I didn't have a prayer of doing this song by this guy whose voice I hold in such high reverence, you know. This is not phony, this is real. It's kind of like that Clint Eastwood, man's got to know his limitations. The song means a lot to me, and singing it live in the studio, this one for me became, I guess you'd say, a really rewarding, creative moment, almost an Olympic moment. I'm now really happy with my version of John Denver's wonderful song. I don't sound like John Denver. Somehow I figured out another way to sound all right on this song. There's a storm across the valley, clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulder. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long